Jai Gurudev. Am I audible? Are you able to hear me? Okay, thank you. So we'll chant Om 3 times. Take a breath in and let go. Breathing in for Om. 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 Om Ganeshaya Namaha. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Which page are we in?
If I'm not mistaken, 336, Sumaji.
36. Okay. There. Okay. Dukkeshu anuvitna manaha. Dukkeshu anuvitna manaha. Sukeshu vikataspраha. वीतरागभयक्रोधः स्थितधीर्मुनिरुच्यते. Dukkeshu, in adversities. Anuvidna manaha, not affected. Sukeshu, in pleasures. Vigataspраha, one who is without yearning. Vitaraga bhayakrodaha, one who is free from longing, fear and anger. Muni, the wise person. Sthidhadhir, one whose knowledge remains. Uchyate, is said. The one who is not affected by adversities, who is without yearning for pleasures and is free from longing, fear and anger, is said to be a wise person whose knowledge remains. Arjuna's question, as we have seen, was answered completely in the previous verse. Being awake to yourself and in yourself alone, you discover your joy, your fulfillment, and you discover it by yourself. Meaning, through knowledge, without self-knowledge, you cannot discover happiness in yourself. How can you discover happiness in yourself, by yourself, when the self is unhappy? Generally, you are happy if your desire is fulfilled. But here, you are happy with yourself without fulfilling any desire. The nature of the Atma is free from any sense of limitation, and the person who is awake to this particular fact, the Sthita Prajna, is free from unhappiness. As desire arise in his or her mind, the person is not affected by them because of being happy with himself or herself. This then was how Krishna described the characteristics of a person of wisdom when Arjuna wanted to know how a wise person responds to the world. Even though one's response to the world does not necessarily reveal how much wisdom one has, still Arjuna thought that the spontaneous expressions of a wise person interacting in the world would reflect those values to be cultivated assiduously by a seeker and would therefore serve as a handy reference. Knowing how a wise person expresses himself or herself in the world is not for judging whether a person is wise or otherwise. It is not that we have a matrix of norms indicating the exact behavior of a wise person against which everyone is measured. It is only to know what I should follow in order to be wise. what was it What was it that the wise person followed before becoming wise that made him or her wise, and that continues as the spontaneous expression of the person? This is what Arjuna really wanted to know, because the characteristics of a Sthita Prajna become the very means, the sadhana, to be followed by a mumukshu. Krishna understood this to be the spirit of Arjuna's question and answered it accordingly. The threefold source of sorrow. Do you need any discussion on this? It's clear, no?
Yes, Siddhi.
I'll continue. The threefold source of sorrow. Sorrow or pain, dukkha, has three sources: adhyatmika, adibhautika, and adidaivika. Adhyatmika is pain for which the source is your own body, mind, and senses, from which a stomach ache onwards. The second source of sorrow, adibhautika, are the situations around you, including the people and bugs that irritate you. Finally, Adidaivika is the pain or sorrow caused by such things as earthquakes and lightning. This kind of pain is not created by your brother-in-law or anyone else, but is from a source that is absolutely divine, natural phenomena over which you have no control whatsoever. You may try to control mosquitoes with certain sprays that will destroy them, but there is nothing you can do to prevent an earthquake. Thus, while the source of sorrow is threefold, there are not different types of sorrow. Sorrow may express itself in 100 different ways: weeping, howling, kicking, moaning, and so on. But the sorrow itself is one and the same. The word dukkeshu in the verse is in the plural because the source of sorrow is threefold, as explained by Shankara in his commentary on this verse. And those whose minds are not affected or shaken by the sorrow arising from these three sources of pain are said to be wise. Because the sources of pain are always active, pain is possible for a wise person, but he or she is not affected by it. What then is the response of a wise man when his head aches? Will his head ache? Is the first question. Or let us start from the very beginning. Does he even have a head? Yes. And because the wise man continues to have a head, it may ache. Now, when his head aches, does he know it or not? After all, he is Sat Chit Ananda. Being Sat Chit Ananda, what means when there is what happens when there is a headache? Does he recognize it? The verse indicates that he does by saying, when such pain occurs, the wise man is not affected. When anyone recognizes dukkha, there is dukkha for him. But what happens afterwards? The person is shaken by pain or sorrow, and then he becomes disturbed. Vigna, vigna manaha, anuvigna manaha. Any disturbance from the three sources described above can make it a reality. The headache is there, you recognize it, and then you worry about it until your whole head and everything else aches. You may even become a pain to everyone around you. They were the only one, you were the only one with a neck pain, but you talk so much about it and make such a fuss that your pain also becomes everyone else's pain in the neck. A wise person responds to sukha. What about pleasure? Sukha then. There are people who can remain quiet when dukkha comes, but jump around like a football when something pleasant happens. The word sukeshu here refers to any happy, pleasant situation, regardless of its source, which can also be described in the threefold manner. Sukha can come from your own sensory pleasure, from, from some external event, or yearning for such pleasures. Sukeshu, sukeshu spruha, spruha. But does a wise person not laugh when something funny is happening? Yes. But there is no encore once more from the person, no longing. Recognizing both pain and pleasure, he or she is not carried away by either of them. Sukeshu vikataspruha, dukkeshu anuvigna manaha. This characteristic then becomes a sadhana for a mumukshu. Clear now? Shankara, in his commentary to this verse, gives the example of fire. If you feed the fire with more wood, it will grow even more. Anu, anu vivardate. In keeping with the fuel that has been offered, it grows to become a big conflagration. When you first light a fire, it always starts as a flame, but set one match to a tank of gasoline and you have an instant conflagration. Thus, the more the fuel, the more the fire. The fire, Shankara said, the wise man's sukha resolves in himself. Sorry, unlike the fire, Shankara said, the wise man's sukha resolves in himself or herself, in his or her fullness. The idea here is, since there is no yearning for sukha, the person's desire do not get out of hand. Krishna also said in this verse that one who is not swept away by either sukha or dukkha is free of likes, fear, and anger. It is vitaraga bhayakrodha. Freedom from raga implies freedom from dvesha also. They are a pair. When one is mentioned, the other is automatically understood to be included. In other words, they go together. The happiness of those who are not in the hands of raga dvesha is not determined by their raga dveshas. Their raga dveshas do not affect their being happy with themselves. The raga dvesha no longer have any teeth. They may be baby raga dveshas or old raga dveshas, but either way they do not bite because they cannot bite. They can only be enjoyed. This is why the raga dveshas of the wise are referred to as non-binding. They are toothless. Hmm. I have a doubt here. When we say raga dveshas come as a pair, is that your experience? Because I feel I may not have ragas, but I definitely have some dveshas. Say it like,
Raga, uh, raga is that you have some attachment to some some object or person or maybe some
yeah,
activity also. No, so raga is that you
yeah,
want
yeah.
that, you want that, and when it is when you do not get you are not able to achieve it, then that dvesha happens. Okay, so and dvesha in second sense we will say that dvesha is the things which you do not want in your life. We read this, no?
Yeah.
Raga is that we want, and which we want, things we want to avoid is dvesha. We don't want them in our lives. So when raga, you want to achieve something, then what is that restlessness there? No, so you uh, have that attachment, but if you are not able to achieve it, then that you can say the misery follows, or the dvesha. Dvesha is again, it is, I think it is talked here in terms of uh, like they are coexisting, raga and dvesha.
Yeah, that's what they are. That's what it is. Like it, I understand that they coexist.
Yeah,
I feel have a greater hold on me than ragas. That is my experience. I don't know how it is on for the others.
yeah. Dvesha is because you are not letting go of something. You are you are withholding it. That is why that you are having that dvesha. You are like
Like
as
I'm
if,
able to let go of ragas. Yeah, you're right. Able to let go of ragas is easier than letting go of
but
dvesha.
not letting go of the dveshas. Dvesha is that you maybe you have been hurt by something, and then that feeling you are not uh, being able to free yourself from. So this is
Hmm.
that letting go and forgiveness, and letting go and accepting it as as a you can say it as an you can accept it thinking it to be your prarabdha, or you can say that this situation was given for you to evolve further, because until unless we each one of us have to overcome all these virtues of negative virtues like jealousy, selfishness. So these would be overcome only when by knowledge, of course, but sometimes when we do not learn, then situations are given so that we face them, and then we come to learn it. Okay, this is this is how it should be done, and this is the way of the destiny, you can say. So I feel I like this is my thinking that it is only we heard we read in this previous verse, no, that we have that feeling of lackness inside us, that
Hmm.
that duality which we have inside us, which differentiate from the actual I and the ideal I, that causes that misery. And once
Hmm.
you have that sambhav for yourself also, then I think that peace comes automatically,
Yeah.
because we you feel some blackness inside, and it is not that you deliberately do it. It is like that evolving process is happening, and over a period of time it will happen itself as you be in knowledge and doing your sadhana. That will happen one day. So
Thank you.
raga has gone, then dvesha would also be gone. Yeah.
Thank you. Shall I continue? Anyone else wants to add anything? The absence of fear. Once raga is gone, fear also goes. Fear exists only when desire is there, and desire is there only when raga dvesha is there. Kama indicates
uh,
duality.
just one thing, this line, no, fear exists only when desire is there, this is fine. Then desire is there only when raga dvesha is there. So
Hmm.
this desire is behind the raga and dvesha both. So some
Yeah,
desire is there, which is holding on because of the raga also and the dvesha also.
yeah,
It is like you want to get rid of that negative experience or expression also. That is also I think dvesha, like you want to get rid of that feeling also. It is you are not liking, so it is again a desire to be free of that
yeah,
feeling, no.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. That's why Buddha said, no, desire is the root cause of all misery. And Gurudev said, desire is a natural thing that is happening. It is our attachment to desires or non attachment to these desires that will make us free. So, desire is a natural thing that happens. So,
Yeah,
not
it's
getting
natural.
attached to our desires is the key.
Yes.
Yeah. So, karma indicates duality. It is due to the notion I am this much alone. Everything else is other than me, and I have to get it. Thus, there is duality, meaning that there is a difference between Jiva, the individual, and Ishvara, the Lord. Jiveshvara Bheda. Ah, naturally, then there will be fear because a difference between the individual and the Lord implies duality between the individual and the world. This is where the Dvaita And duality between the individual and the world means duality between individual and individual. Once you accept a duality between individual and Ishvara, you will find difference, Veda, everywhere. Very correct. If you think that you are different from Ishvara, you will think that you are different from the world and from everyone else in the world. And in this world of duality, you are an insecure person. Therefore, fear of danger from another source will always be there because the other will always be there. Fear comes from duality only. Any fear means that duality is there because you recognize the source of fear as something other than yourself. You can, you can be afraid of yourself if you have created a split in yourself. There is an ideal I and the actual I. And the actual I is always frightening to the ideal I. This is also the reason why you are afraid of an insane person, provided you are sane, of course. Similarly, you may find that you are afraid of a person who is sad. There can be no fear if there is only one thing, vastu. The second thing is necessary for fear to occur. Therefore, the one who has no duality is not only free from raga dvesha, but also free from fear. Wow, so beautiful. Beautifully explained, no? How to free yourself from fear. Anger also goes. Lastly, a wise person is free from anger, which is nothing but another form of raga. The desire itself is transformed into anger. First, the desire is in a very benign form, and then it is transformed into another form, an ugly form called anger. We will be seeing this later in the chapter. Kamat krodaha abhijayate. When what I want is not accomplished due to some obstruction, the very karma turns into anger, whose target is the obstruction. Whatever is obstructing my desire becomes the object of my anger. Many many murders take place because the object of a person's love becomes the object of his or her anger. A man does not kill the loving woman. He kills only the obstinate, unwilling woman. And then he will cry for the loving one. Thus, when a person becomes an obstruction to your desire, that same person becomes the object of your anger. Anger is always mutilated, transformed, deflected form of karma. Therefore, if you are free of karma, desire, you will be free of krodha and anger. Krodha, anger. Okay, that's also very clear. Duality and fear. The word bhaya, fear, was put between the words raga and krodha because of its special significance, which is dealt with very well in the Shastra. The only way to be free of fear is by swallowing duality, and you cannot swallow duality unless there is no duality. And because there is no duality, it can be swallowed, but only through knowledge. This is the only way of getting rid of fear. Wherever there is duality, there is fear. fear of mortality, fear of being put down, fear of being small. So you have to destroy the duality. So fear of mortality, fear of being put down, fear of being small, fear of not making it, and so on. Fear can exist only as long as there is a seeker-sought relationship, the very relationship implying duality between the seeker and the sought. And in the final analysis, duality becomes between oneself and the Lord. This we experience, no? This duality. Any small division whatsoever is enough to cause fear. Even to say Ishvara is everything and I am a part of him is enough. In fact, upon analysis, you will find that this concept is the very point from which everything becomes different. This difference is born out of a natural lack of inquiry, avichara, or non-thinking. And if another inquiry duality is still there, it is a tragedy. And if another inquiry duality is still there, it is a tragedy, because the Upanishads expect this kind of thinking or non-thinking. They address the topic thoroughly, pointing out that as long as there is any division whatsoever, fear cannot be avoided. A muni is a thinking person, a person of inquiry, and the knowledge, the of the muni, stays sthita. That is, it does not swing or sway. The muni does not think duality, dvaita, one day and non-duality, advaita, the next. Just because someone has put forth a cogent argument. In fact, Dvaita is not knowledge, it is a belief. Regardless of the number of objections raised, Advaita is something you know. You may not be able to communicate it to someone, but you know because it is yourself. It is not something you have to believe. It is a freedom from all notions. Advaita is all that is there. Wow, very nice. The Advaita is a feeling of freedom. It's not a belief. Wow. We have seen that the person whose knowledge stays is called Sthita Prajna. A wise person, sannyasi, is also a word to point out Jnana Nishta, one whose knowledge is firm and abiding. This word was brought in by Shankara here because he did not think that one could be a jnani without being a sannyasi. As we proceed, we shall see that Shankara's sannyasa is always jnana, nothing less. Want to have some discussion on this? This is interesting. That a jnani cannot be without being a sannyasi. You cannot be a jnani without being a sannyasi. Right. Further, Krishna said, Ya sarvatranabi I need some help.
Jai Gurudev. Sumanji, can you repeat the paragraph from the absence of fear downwards?
From fear, duality and fear, or further down? I'll read from this absence of fear, because fear grips us many times for small things to big things. The word bhaya, fear, was put between the word raga and krodha because of its special significance, which is dealt with very well in the Shastra. The only way to be free of fear is by swallowing duality. And you cannot swallow duality unless there is no duality. So, unless you become like that, you come to that state. So, that is why Advaita is a freedom. It's not a belief, it is a being, it is an existence, existential wisdom. Very nice. So the only way to be free of fear is by swallowing duality, and you cannot swallow duality unless there is no duality. So you have to come to that state, then only fear disappears. Because there is no duality, it can be swallowed. That is, fear can be swallowed. No? By swallowing duality. Swallowing duality. And because there is no duality, it can be swallowed, but only through knowledge. This is the only way of getting rid of fear. Wherever there is duality, there is fear. Fear of mortality, fear of being put down, fear of being small, fear of not making it, and so on. Fear can exist only as long as there is a seeker-sought relationship. The very relationship implying duality between the seeker and the sought. In the final analysis, duality between oneself and the Lord. Any small division whatsoever is enough to cause fear. Even so,
Last two,
Ishvara,
three lines again, please.
yeah. So we can swallow duality only when we come to that state where
This
there
is the
is no
only way of getting rid of fear. From there, next.
this is the only way of getting rid of fear.
Wherever
Wherever there is duality, there is fear. Fear of mortality, fear of being put down, fear of being small, fear of not making it, and so on. So wherever there is duality, there will be fear. Fear can exist only as long as there is a seeker-sought relationship. The very relationship implying duality between the seeker and the sought, and in the final analysis, duality between oneself and the Lord. The Dvaita Bhav.
Sumaji, the last words I think are getting a little softer, not heard properly.
Okay,
Yeah,
closer
thank
to
you.
the mic. This is the only way of getting rid of fear. Wherever there is duality, there is fear. Fear of mortality, fear of being put down, fear of being small, fear of not making it, and so on. Fear can exist only as long as there is a seeker-sought relationship. The very relationship implying duality between the seeker and the sought, and in the final analysis, the duality between oneself and the Lord. Any small division whatsoever is enough to cause fear. Even to say, Ishvara is everything and I am part of him is enough. In fact, upon analysis, you will find that this concept you will find that this concept is the very point from which everything becomes different. Ishvara is everything and I am part of him is enough. So you have to come to that non-dual state of I am Ishvara. Wow. Aham Brahmasmi. Until then, fear will be there. In fact, upon analysis, you will find that this concept is the very point from which everything becomes different. This difference is born out of a natural lack of inquiry, avichara, or non-thinking. And if after inquiry, duality is still there, it is a tragedy because the Upanishads expect this kind of thinking or non-thinking because the Upanishads expect this kind of thinking or non-thinking, they address the topic thoroughly, pointing out that as long as there is any division whatsoever, fear cannot be avoided. Wow.
Any small division that again you read now.
Any small division whatsoever is enough to cause fear. Even to say Ishvara is everything and I'm part of him. So we have reduced ourselves to a small part. But Upanishads want us to know that we are Ishvara. That's why all those Upanishad Vakyas, no, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, all that. So we have to come to that finally, absolutely very, very certain that you are divine. Until then, there will be fear. In fact, upon analysis, you will find that this concept, that I'm part of the divine, that concept is the very point from which everything becomes different.
So,
This,
so you should be totally grounded on this I am Brahmasmi, no?
yeah,
Every minute you have to remind ourselves and you have to be totally grounded. This is what it is.
So for which the Raga Dvesha must go first. Okay, but we have the practice, no, that is what the mumukshva should practice. So we got that and we need to practice. So this difference is born out of a natural lack of inquiry, avichara or non-thinking. So we have to change this thinking from being part of the divine, I am divine. Divine at this point is expressing life through me with whatever my shortcomings are. But I am divine and I will get there. So he said, no, I will not, that fear of not making it comes there. All the small fears, we have to overcome it again and again through practice. So
Like we concludes the theorems in the back side, no? Means we prove some theorems like it's true and then we make it false like that or true it is. So even if we think that and work over that, then Ragdvesha will go. I think some Pura in some Upanishad it is said, you think first I am Brahmasmi and then do. Backtracking like that. I,
yeah.
I'm not remembering anything now about that.
See,
Upanishad.
even Patanjali Yoga Sutra, the very first thing starts with Samadhi path. No, first only they give that Samadhi path.
Hmm.
Then only they go back into that analysis. So we should also start with this thing. Of course, Gurudev says it is not like affirmation, but keep it at the back of your mind that this body is perishable. The thoughts in the body are not mine. Body is not mine. I am not this body, I am not this thought, this feeling, emotion. So neti neti, go from like that.
I mean, even in Upanayana, we get all means first Upadesha that only.
Yeah. And then we work our way backwards, coming back home. That's what it is. So this inquiry, the self-inquiry is so important. So that is part, like I feel it starts with Swadhyaya. Self-inquiry starts with that Swadhyaya, self-observation, observing the mind. And this morning I listened to one Gurudev's knowledge where he talks about observe your mind when you get into that reaction response mode. And that is how you study the mind. Of course, it is very fine and very, you have to be that aware and alert. But when you catch that, I am responding like this or I'm reacting like this, when you come to that wisdom, when you start observing that, then they become weak. That reaction goes away and response comes in. So that is what we have to do, this inquiry, self-inquiry. This difference is born out of a natural lack of inquiry, avichara or non-thinking. So we go automatic, no? We go on that autopilot reaction mode. So that is where we have to catch ourselves into this self-inquiry. And see how Upanishads, and even after inquiry, duality still is there. It is a tragedy. So scary, no? That means our inquiry is not been complete or is not 100%. Because the Upanishads expect this kind of thinking or non-thinking. They address the topic thoroughly, pointing out that as long as there is any divisions whatsoever, fear cannot be avoided. A Muni is a thinking person. Wow, so that's how he becomes a sannyasi. Wow, wow. A Muni is a thinking person, a person of inquiry and the knowledge, the of the Muni, the intellect of the Muni stays sthita. It does not sway or swing. It does not swing and sway. The Muni does not think duality. Wow. So this is another point. The Muni does not think duality, Dvaita, one day, and non-duality, Advaita, the next. Just because someone has put forth a cogent argument. In fact, Dvaita is not knowledge, it is a belief. Wow. Okay. So knowledge is experiential wisdom. That is only knowledge. Everything else is belief. So in fact, Dvaita is not a knowledge. It's not knowledge, it is a belief. Regardless of the number of objections raised, Advaita is something you know. You may not be able to communicate it to someone else, but you know because it is yourself. It is not something you have to believe. It is a freedom from all notions. Advaita is all that is there. Wow. So that's why Gurudev says, no, one who is enlightened will not say, and one who says, no, that is not enlightened. That's why he cannot communicate it to someone else because it is individual experience. Each one knows. That's how it is. Because you know yourself. It is not something you have to believe. In that same video this morning, somebody asked Gurudev, do you believe in karma? And his reply was, I know it. He didn't say anything about, he said, you believe in something that you don't know, but I know it. I know karma. That's how he answered. Hmm. So it is freedom from all notions. Advaita is all that is there. We have seen that the person whose knowledge stays is called Sthita Prajna. A wise person, sannyasi, is also a word to point out jnana nishta, one whose knowledge is firm and abiding. This word was brought in by Shankara here because he did not think that one could be a jnani without being a sannyasi. As we proceed, we shall see that Shankara's sannyasa is always jnana, nothing else. Wow. Mm. So that is why a sannyasi's journey is also very tough. So you've got to be so firmly established in the wisdom. And somebody who is established in the wisdom is a jnani, and the process is sannyasa. So a sannyasi is also a jnani. Is that correct? Hmm. That's how I'm taking this as Shankara's wisdom.
Now, just being a sannyasi does not mean he's a jnani.
Yeah.
What
No,
Shankara
yes.
means by sannyasa is it is through jnana. It is jnana karma sannyasa. It is not just karma sannyasa. It is not just giving up action. It is giving up action through knowledge. Through
Yeah.
knowledge that there is only Advaita, there is only one, that I am not the doer. So that is the jnana. So just being a sannyasi, you automatically don't become a jnani.
Understood.
But
I
a
know.
jnani is a sannyasi, whether he does or not. Like Krishna is a sannyasi there, he's a jnani. But he's a sannyasi in the aspect of what? Of having given up action through knowledge. That is giving up that doership. It's jnanena karma sannyasa. So that verse where it says Pashyan Shrinvan Sprishan Jigran. So he may be doing all of that, but he has that, he's in that state of non-doership. They're just happening. He's just a witness to all of that. And jnana is not only through sannyasa, no. Jnana is the end point. You have two lifestyles again, sannyasa as well as karma yoga. So both lifestyles ultimately lead to moksha. And that common endpoint is through jnana.
So a jnani is a sannyasi, but a sannyasi need not be a jnani.
Right.
Ramaraji Jai Gurudev, can you please tell that Vividesha Sannyasa and the other one? Could you please?
Vidvat sannyasa. Yeah, Vividesha
Vidvat.
sannyasa is the one who's taken to sannyasa but is still pursuing knowledge, has not realized yet. Whereas a Vidvat sannyasa is an enlightened. He's attained that knowledge.
So in both, there is no condition that he has left the sun. I mean, the material world, the samsara. and one is wearing the orange robe. None of them implies that, right? Here?
No, both have taken to sannyasa. Both
Okay.
But they can
Vividish.
be in samsara, no?
Hmm?
But they can be in samsara, means they continue in the life samsara. They are sannyasi, jnani, means that karma yogi then, that type of lifestyle.
No, I think we're getting a little mixed up here. See, there are two lifestyles. One is sannyasa and the other is karma yoga.
That is Gruhastha, right, Brahmaraji?
Yeah, all of them, all the other ashramas. The ashramas are brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasa, right? So, sannyasa is a lifestyle. Both sannyasa and karma yoga are for moksha only. So, being a sannyasi, just by wearing the ochre robes, one does not become enlightened. One does not become a jnani. He is also work in progress. That is the vividisha sannyasa. Whereas when this vividisha sannyasa, while pursuing knowledge, while taking up this lifestyle of being a sannyasi, ultimately gains that wisdom, then he becomes a vidvat sannyasa. Nothing, he is not different from jnani. He is no different from an enlightened person.
So sannyasa needs inquiry. That
Yeah, they
that's the
continue
thing. Yeah.
till the goal is attained,
Mm.
till that experience, not even experience, till that advaita comes to your existence. Yes,
Mm.
till that aham brahmasmi happens, the sannyasa who's taken to the lifestyle of sannyasa also has to inquire.
Yeah.
He pursues knowledge to the exclusion of all else. That is the
Mm.
sannyasi.
Yeah.
A karma yogi, on the other hand, pursues does all his duties according to his ashrama, all his roles, responsibilities, while pursuing knowledge.
Yeah.
So it's more difficult for a karma yogi. The path is more challenging and difficult for a karma yogi rather than a sannyasi.
Not
Because
necessarily. I uh,
See, for to
because
be a sannyasi, you also have to be eligible. You
yeah.
cannot just take to sannyasa, because if you are not prepared enough, it becomes your like a mithyachara. It's just
Mm.
that dambachara. It's like a hypocrite. Within
yes,
you've
but
kept all your ragadveshas and you've just taken ochre robes. That does not make you a sannyasi.
Yeah.
So that
Because
is why
authorities
Arjuna
come.
is told repeatedly by Krishna, for you, karma yoga is the way.
but for a sannyasi, like he willingly he has like taken that path, that life, and once he has chosen that life, he'll be like one goal oriented path only. Whereas for a karma yogi, it is like it is full of diversities,
It is,
responsibilities, and
yeah,
the
again,
knowledge and sadhana. All it, so it is more like more effort is required for a karma yogi, whereas sannyasi, he has left by choice, and he is in jnana. He
yeah.
has attained that knowledge, and he now knows that he wants to live this life only. He has no other choices or preferences in life. So he is just one goal oriented. So once he
But
has
sannyasa
decided,
is not a
yeah.
choice.
No, it's not a
Sannyasa is
choice,
not
but
a choice you make. Sannyasa is an eligibility. You,
yeah,
unless you are eligible, you cannot be a
but in
sannyasi.
some desire must be there in the back of the mind, no, that is why that person will follow that sannyasi, like he'll be desiring to become a sannyasi. Initial some desire must be there, no? Like everyone doesn't have that desire normally. It's only rarely that some person they have that I don't want to live in a family, don't want a family life. So some desire must be erupting, and then he'll be making it to fructify it. He'll be doing all type of efforts which are required, like to be in that sadhana, then knowledge, all scripture knowledge, then guru, and of course it is. I think the most important is that grace which is happening, which is, and without that grace nobody can change your lifestyle too. So I was just thinking over that for a karma yogi it is more difficult, and for a once a sannyasi he has chosen his path, then or you can say he is eligible for that sannyasi role, then it is like he is moving, no, there are no obstacles as such until unless
In a
he
way,
himself creates some, like
you're
some.
right. You're right. The sannyasi is focused on getting that goal, that
Yeah, once
wisdom.
it is decided, then uh, once it depends all upon himself, no, that he is how much till what extent his desires are now zero to minimum, like how it depends on how intense that desire to be in that advaita, or that you can say that your desire to attain that moksha. So it is that degree of
Karma yogis can also get to that level, provided they are lucky enough to find a guru who can guide them. Like there is that example of King Janaka, no? Even though he was a king and in the material world, he got such a wonderful guru
then
that
again that desire comes, no,
he
that
got.
how preferences and sorry to interrupt Somaji,
Oh,
uh,
that's okay.
yeah, like this again that karma yogi is having a desire, that he has preferences, that he or he has like there are so much of things going on in his life, but the preferences he will give to his that goal of moksha would be more
I
rather.
think it starts with a question in the heart of the karma yogi also. I mean, he need not be a karma yogi, just an ordinary person. Okay, if I have a question, and if that question is like, who am I, or why this life, and what is love, and all those kind of questions come in you, then you have to be fortunate to find a guru who will guide you through that to get to that wisdom. So then also the focus is on wisdom, on jnana, even for a karma yogi. But he will continue to live his life as a householder, wife, husband, king, whatever. But if he gets a personal guru, then the focus shifts to the wisdom, but the other thing continue. It continues as a happening there also, isn't it? It may be a
Yes,
struggle. I'm sure it's a struggle for all of us. But for the sannyasi also, I feel is a struggle because he has to, mm, if he's doing 24/7 into inquiry, in today's world, it is a struggle, I feel. But again, if he also gets a guru, it's very easy, isn't it?
but his struggles are all related to himself, no one
Huh,
else.
correct, correct. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That way, yes. Should we stop here?
Yeah, I also wanted to discuss about the fear, but we can take it tomorrow because it's time.
You
And
can give that question so we can all think about it and come back with an answer tomorrow,
yeah, I
whatever
was just
comes.
thinking about the fear, that fear is the most main. You can say that it's one of the main factor which prevent us from being in that Advait uh, form, like that duality always comes, and in whole day if some type of fear may be coming. It can be any type, like it's mentioned in this uh,
So
paragraph
go
that
back to Abhyasa, that I am
yeah
divine.
the
That thought. Come back to that
yeah
thought
but
again and again.
you know
So
the
Abhyasa and
fear, so
Vairagya.
many
Go back
type
to
of
that.
fears are there. So to you get caught up in that duality. It's not easy to escape from this fear factor. I was just thinking that somehow that fear does
The
erupt.
cause for
And
fear is the further and further we move away from ourself, the more and more fear we get caught up into.
yeah, it's
So
again raga and dvesha.
come back home, come back to yourself again and again through practice. And
Yeah,
company is
that
very
raga
important.
dvesha keeps on coming, and because of that fear is happening. So
So maybe for tomorrow's session, if you wish to begin with a discussion on fear, maybe we can list out what all our fears are. Maybe not a big list, but a few, to one or two, and then we can share and see how we go from there. Okay. So we will end here. I will play that meditation.
Actually, other than fear, means what are we desire? What are our desires? Because only desires make us fear, no? So if they are getting fulfilled or not.
That is,
yeah,
it starts with that, but once you are
Yeah.
able to reduce your fear, this
Mm.
distance with duality is a greater fear. When you drop your desires, duality comes in. The duality creates fear.
And that will come only with the faith or feeling that I'm one only. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we can do that. We can make a list of our desires and our fears. Good exercise. We can do that. Okay. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
is accepting this moment, living every moment totally with depth. Let us keep our spine erect and body relaxed and eyes closed. Relax your shoulders. Keep a big smile on your face. You're sitting like the statue of Buddha, very serene and with a serene smile on your face. Relax your body. Let's take a deep breath in and breathe out. Become aware of your chest region, throat and chest region. If you notice some tension in the body, just let it be. Except those parts of the body where you feel a tension, the other parts are in comfort. Other parts are at peace. Become aware of that also. There are many good things about you and inside of you. Acknowledge them. They will never leave you. And the negative aspect you may see in you is never going to stay with you forever. They are guests for some time. Let them be. Sit with the total acceptance of yourself the way you are at this very moment. Total acceptance of what is now here will lead us to deeper meditation. Let go of all the effort. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let go of all your effort and be in this emptiness. And slowly and gradually become aware of body and surroundings. And you may gently open it.
Jai Gurudev.
Thank you. Jai Gurudev.
Thank you.